Thanks to our crazy road trip over the last 4 months, where we were able to visit 49 of the 50 states and Washington, D.C., I can now share with you which states I think are the best states for those who want Medicare Supplement plans. Also, you can now find your state by going to our channel page, find the little search magnifying glass above the videos, and type in your state to see the specific rules and how your state compares to the national averages. Now, there are actually two lists in this video because when it comes to supplement plans, there are two big characteristics that I think are important. The first is costs. So the first list will go over the 5 states with the lowest average Medicare supplement plan costs. The second characteristic is the level of flexibility that you have to switch these supplement plans, either because your current supplement plan rates are too high or you're on an Advantage plan and you want to switch to a supplement plan. So that's list number 2, and a quick spoiler, these lists are polar opposites from each other. Throughout this video, I will have 3 favors to ask of you at different points, and they progressively get a little bit more involved as we go along, so buckle up, and here we go. Here are the 5 states with the lowest average Medicare supplement plan costs. We are focusing on Plan G and Plan N, and average costs are for a 65-year-old because the most recent data that we have access to shows that with those on supplement plans in the United States, 72% are on Plan G. The next most popular plan is Plan N, and that one is 9% of the population of those on Medicare supplement plans. So Plan G gets the preference here. Okay, at number 5, we have South Carolina. Your average supplement Plan G cost for a 65-year-old is $125 per person per month. The national average, for context, is $150 per month, so you're almost 17% less than the national average. Your average supplement plan N cost is just $85 per month. That puts South Carolina as the lowest cost state for Plan N. The national average for Plan N is $120 per month. So that's almost 30% less than the national average. I have someone who I consider a friend and a fellow Medicare YouTuber with a large channel, and he loves Plan N. He also lives in South Carolina, so that makes a lot of sense. The supplement plan penetration rate refers to how many people are choosing a supplement plan rather than something else, like an Advantage plan, FEHB, TRICARE, or some other option. Nationally, the average is 21%. With your low rates, South Carolina is at 23%. But that only puts you in the 27th place for the supplement plan penetration rate. So not as many people taking advantage of these lower rates as we would expect. All right, at number 4, we have the Lone Star State, Texas. Your average supplement plan G cost is $120 per month. Your average supplement plan N cost is $90 per month. The supplement plan penetration rate in Texas is 20.4%. That puts you in 32nd place nationally, so even lower than South Carolina, even though your average costs are slightly lower for Plan G. At number 3, we have North Carolina. Your average supplement Plan G cost is also $120 per month, and Plan N is also $90 per month. The reason you come in at 3rd instead of Texas is because your penetration rate is higher at 21.3%, which still only puts you at 29th place, but you also have better supplement plan options for those who qualify for Medicare before age 65. This would include individuals who've been disabled for at least 24 months, or they've been diagnosed with end-stage renal disease, that's kidney failure, or they've been diagnosed with ALS. Both Texas and North Carolina have more expensive supplement plan costs for pre-65, but North Carolina has access to all of the supplement plan letters, including Plan G, whereas Texas really only has access to Plan A pre-65, and because of this, North Carolina gets the 3rd spot. At number 2, we have Arizona, and this one is interesting. Your average supplement Plan G cost is also about $120 per month. Your average Plan N cost is also about $90 per month. But the big kicker here is that in Arizona, your supplement plans are issue age plans. When we talk about supplement plans, there are 3 ways that they can be structured, and all 3 ways have annual increases. People tell us all the time that they want the supplement plan that does not have any increases. Those are not real. All supplement plans and their respective structures will have annual increases that the insurance companies implement because of rising healthcare costs, inflation, and how that particular insurance company is performing. However, after that, all 3 structures work a little differently. The first and by far most common is attained age plans. Your rates are based on the age that you have attained. So someone who has attained 66 years old is paying more than somebody who is 65 years old, not just when you first sign up, but again when you attain a new age at your birthday and you turn 67. You can get another little rate bump that we sarcastically refer to as your happy birthday increase. So with attained age plans, you could see 2 increases in your premiums in 1 year. Attained age plans typically start the lowest for 65-year-olds, which is why 4 out of the top 5 lowest cost supplement plan states are attained age states. In fact, 36 of the lowest 38 states for supplement plan costs are attained age states. And this is why Arizona, being the one non-attained age state in the top 5, is unusual. Arizona is an issue age state, and issue age plans are still dependent on your age, but it is your age when you sign up for the supplement plan, not your age into the future. So you don't get the happy birthday increases. You do still get the annual increases from the insurance company, but you don't get those happy birthday increases. So Arizona, that's pretty cool. The supplement plan penetration rate in Arizona is at 24.1%. That puts you as the 18th highest in the country, so higher than the previous 3 states that we've covered, and even higher than number 1 on our list. Now, the number 1 lowest average cost state for Medicare supplement plans is New Mexico. Your average supplement plan G cost is $115 per month. Your average plan N cost is $95 per month, which is actually the highest of these 5 states for plan N. What surprises me even more is the supplement plan penetration rate in New Mexico. It is only 15.5%. That is the 7th lowest in the country. Here are a couple of other common characteristics that these top 5 states share. First, they do not have any sort of guaranteed issue rights around switching between supplement plans. So if you're on a supplement plan and you want to switch to a different plan or a different company, you will be going through medical underwriting where you're answering medical questions and you can be charged higher rates or be denied completely if you have poor health. If you're on an Advantage plan and you're outside of your trial rights or you don't have a special enrollment period, you're going through medical underwriting as well if you want a supplement plan. The other thing these all sort of have in common is that you don't have great protections for those who are pre-65. We touched on this already. North Carolina has all of the supplement plan letters available pre-65, but they are more expensive than those who are 65. Texas and South Carolina have Plan A. South Carolina also sort of has Plan B, but in both states, they are very expensive. Arizona and New Mexico, you don't have supplement plan options for those who are pre-65. As we wrap up this section on the lowest cost states, what I want you to take from this is that these are averages. I get people all the time yelling at me and telling me that I'm a liar because their plan costs are more or less than the average. Average means that there are plans that are higher and lower than this. You will probably not find a singular plan that costs exactly $115 in New Mexico. Also, there are opportunities in all of these states to find discounts to bring these costs even lower, and I cover those discounts in each of the state videos, so go find your state to see those discounts. In these states, in general, females will see lower rates than males, so if you're a female watching, your averages will be bumped down a little bit lower in the attained age and issue age situations. Finally, as we've seen, lower cost states in general means fewer protections for pre-65 and switching easily, which is why we have our second list of the easier to work with states. But this leads me to my first request of you at this point in the video. If this has been interesting or helpful so far, please take 1 second and click that thumbs up like button. All right, now let's move on to the 5 states with the most flexible rules around Medicare supplement plans. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, it means that you're able to switch supplement plans more easily. There are ways in these states where you do not have to go through medical underwriting, you do not have to answer medical questions, you don't have to worry about being charged more than everyone else or being denied because of your health. So at number 5, we have the state of Washington. In Washington, if you're on a Medicare supplement plan already, you can switch to any other Medicare supplement plan without medical underwriting and at any time during the year. There is a weird thing here. If you're on Plan A, you can only switch to another Plan A, but there are very few people who are on Plan A. Otherwise, you can switch up, down, left, right to any of the supplement plans without medical underwriting. This is, again, only if you have a supplement plan already. This is not if you're on an Advantage plan and you're hoping to switch to a supplement plan. I'll clarify that a little bit more in number 4. I do have a wild card honorable mention here. We'll say that it's tied for 5th, and that is Vermont. Vermont is a wild card because there isn't a state law around this, but there are some companies in Vermont that allow for year-round open enrollment into Medicare supplement plans, guaranteed issue, which if you're working with these insurance companies, that is a whole lot of flexibility. Vermont's only tied for 5th though, because again, it's not a state rule and you need to be more careful than the next 4 states on this list. At number 4, we have Maine. What makes Maine unique is that you have a much longer trial right period for those on Advantage plans who want to switch to a supplement plan with no medical underwriting. Let me clarify that. There are 2 trial rights with Advantage plans. The first is available if you take Medicare and an Advantage plan at your 65th birthday. Your Medicare Part A Part B, and your Advantage Plan effective dates, meaning the start dates of these plans, all need to be the same day in order to use this trial right. And this only happens at your 65th birthday month, because if you were to get Medicare at, say, 65 and 6 months, your Part A effective date would backdate 6 months to your 65th birthday month, which also means that your Part A effective date is not the same as your Part B and your Advantage Plan effective dates, because Part B and Advantage Plan start dates do not backdate like Part A can. So you go on Medicare and you take an Advantage Plan at your 65th birthday. Outside of Maine, you have 12 months to try this Advantage Plan. If you don't like your Advantage Plan, you can switch back to original Medicare and a supplement plan with no medical underwriting, no fear of getting denied and not being charged higher rates. That's the first trial right. The second trial right is available if you take a supplement plan first. This does not have to be at your 65th birthday. So maybe you were working for a company past 65, you delayed Medicare until you were, say, 67 years old, and then you started with original Medicare and a supplement plan. If at some point in the future you want to switch off of that supplement plan and onto an Advantage Plan to try it out, when you make that switch outside Maine, you have that same 12-month period to try out the Advantage Plan. And if you don't like it, you can switch back to original Medicare and your same supplement plan without the fear of denial or higher costs. You can only do this once. You can't just keep jumping back and forth. Where Maine is different is that instead of 12 months for both of those trial rights, you get 36 months or 3 years as your trial right. And that's pretty cool. It gives those of you who live in Maine more time to really experience how Advantage Plans work. I was always told to date somebody through all 4 seasons before you marry them, kind of a similar idea, only for 3 years. I think that partially because of this trial right freedom, we see Maine having the 5th highest Advantage Plan penetration rate in the country and the 5th lowest supplement plan state. A strategy that many people with lower healthcare costs use in Maine is to start on an Advantage Plan and save the monthly costs, and then if something goes wrong in those first 3 years, they just switch to a supplement plan. Also in Maine, if you are on a supplement plan now, and as long as you don't cancel it and go more than 90 days without it, you can switch from your existing supplement plan to a like supplement plan or down with your current insurance company or any other insurance company. What this means is that let's say that I'm on a plan G and my insurance company's rates are going up faster than the other companies. I can switch to a plan G with a different insurance company, guaranteed issue anytime during the year. Or maybe I'm on a plan G and it's more coverage and it's more cost than I need, so I want to switch down to a plan N. I can do that without underwriting. What I cannot do is go from Plan N, as an example, up to Plan G without underwriting. Plan G offers more coverage than Plan N, and that means that I'm going up, and the rule is not for up, it is for the same or down. There are a few other states that have similar rules where you can switch from one supplement plan to another, but only during small windows like around your birthday. Maine is year-round. This flexibility to switch in Maine comes at a cost. You have the 4th highest average supplement plan G cost in the country, with an average of around $245 per month. Okay, that was for number 4. Number 3 is Connecticut. Here's why. Connecticut has year-round open enrollment, whether you're on a supplement plan or an Advantage Plan. Now, related to this freedom to switch from Advantage Plan to supplement plan with no underwriting, with Connecticut and the next 2 states, people get seriously mistaken around the real-life application of being able to do this. If you're on an Advantage Plan and you're wanting to switch to a supplement plan outside of your trial rights in Connecticut or outside of your special enrollment period, you need a valid disenrollment reason to get off of your Advantage Plan. I explain this in the state videos and I'll do it here as well. Let's pretend that it is August 1st and you are on an Advantage Plan. Let's also pretend that you just got the news that you have cancer and now you want to move from an Advantage Plan to a supplement plan to cover those costs in a different way. Just because it is year-round open enrollment for supplement plans in Connecticut, that does not mean that you can just switch on August 1st and have your supplement plan replace your Advantage Plan. You can buy the supplement plan and pay the money, but it won't cover anything because you did not go back to original Medicare. You are still replacing original Medicare with your existing Advantage Plan, which means the supplement plan will not apply. To cancel the Advantage Plan and properly go on to original Medicare, you need a valid reason. One of those is the annual enrollment period that goes from October 15th to December 7th of every year. You can make the change to the supplement plan during this time, and then the supplement plan would begin on January 1st of the upcoming year. Another valid reason is a special enrollment period. There are a lot of things that qualify for this. The most common is that you have moved outside of your Advantage plan's coverage area. This allows you to switch back to original Medicare and a supplement plan, but this applies in any state, so it isn't really a specific advantage for Connecticut. The third valid reason is the Advantage plan open enrollment period, and that runs from January 1st to March 31st of every year. During this window, you can go back to original Medicare, and in Connecticut, you can jump on a supplement plan, guaranteed issue, and pre-existing conditions won't stop you. The second application of this misunderstanding is that the Part D prescription drug coverage works in a similar way. If you're on an Advantage plan with Part D drug coverage included, and you're trying to switch to a supplement plan and then pick up a standalone Part D drug plan, you can only pick up a Part D drug plan during certain windows. They're the same windows that we just covered with the annual enrollment period, a special enrollment period, or the Advantage plan open enrollment period. Keep this in mind. If you live in Connecticut or one of the next two states on this list and you've heard that you can just switch between whatever you want, so from an Advantage plan to a supplement plan whenever you want, you are free to do so, but it is not at any point in time. Back to the August 1st cancer diagnosis, I would change to the supplement plan during the annual enrollment period from October 15th to December 7th. My new supplement plan would start on January 1st, and then I would be left to my Advantage plan's coverage of the cancer from August 1st through December 31st. Okay, moving on. Connecticut is sort of a mom state. MOM stands for Medicare Overcharge Measures. It is a protection for people within the mom state against excess charges. There are only 8 mom states in the country. In a mom state, providers who do not participate with Medicare are not allowed to charge more than the Medicare allowed amount. This is nice, and for more details on what that means, watch the Connecticut state video. Connecticut is only sort of a mom state because it only applies to those who are qualified Medicare beneficiaries. This is shortened to QMB. This is a designation for those who are lower income folks. So Connecticut is not as inclusive as other mom states, but it is there. Connecticut is third on this ease of use list, and it is also the third highest average supplement plan cost state in the country at $260 per month for Plan G. All right, number 2 on this list is New York. New York is year-round open enrollment. You can switch up, down, left, right within supplement plans, or you can switch from an Advantage plan to a supplement plan whenever you want. Now, you should be yelling at your screen right now because you now know the rules that you do not get to switch whenever you want. So good job if you caught it. You still need a valid disenrollment period to go from Advantage to supplement plan in New York. Now, New York is also sort of a mom state. Non-participating providers can charge up to 5% in excess charges rather than 15%. So it's not a full mom state, but it's still pretty good and better than Connecticut. Why New York is not number 1 is because your supplement plan costs are absurdly expensive. And I know this is an ease of use list, not the cost list, but your plans are so incredibly expensive that it makes it so frustrating for everyone to deal with. You are the single highest state in average supplement plan costs. Around the New York City area, your average is $100 more per month than the second highest cost state. Outside the New York City area, it is still lower, but it is still more than any other state. So yeah, you're number 2. With these costs, very few people in New York go the supplement plan route. Strictly looking at the penetration rate numbers, you're at 12.1%. That is the third lowest in the country. This is not me telling you not to get a supplement plan. Those are just the numbers that we are seeing based on the behavior of people in New York. Now, before I reveal the best state for supplement plan flexibility, here is my second ask of you, and it is a little bit more involved than the first. If you're not already subscribed to this channel and this has been helpful, please subscribe. We make videos on Medicare, Social Security, estate planning, and all kinds of financial topics to help you enjoy retirement in a better way. If you are already subscribed, and even if you're not, be sure to comment with your state. That will be our little code word. Okay, we are finally to the number 1 state that, in my opinion, is the easiest to use supplement plan state in the country, and that is Massachusetts. Massachusetts has year-round open enrollment for Medicare supplement plans. You will not need to deal with medical underwriting to get a supplement plan, period. This is for those of you on a supplement plan already, or it's for those of you on an Advantage plan. Still the same valid disenrollment rules for those going from Advantage to supplement plan outside of your trial rights. Massachusetts is one of 3 states that does not have the standard supplement plans. This is kind of a pain in the neck for me as I try to make Medicare videos for everyone across the country, but for those of you in Massachusetts, it does limit your choices a bit, and I guess it keeps things less complicated and tricky. You don't have Plan G or Plan N or Plan F. You have your own supplement plans that are the core plan, Plan 1 that is only available to certain people, and Plan 1A that is a lot like what the rest of us know as Plan G. So even though you're kind of weird with your supplement plans, it can be a good thing. Massachusetts does have slightly more expensive supplement plans, with the Plan G equivalent averaging about $205 per month, but compared with your neighbor states and the fact that you are a community rated state, this is pretty awesome. The supplement plan penetration rate in Massachusetts is 24%. Remember, nationally, the average is about 21%. Now, there are two main differentiators between all of these 6 states that made it into this list of who is easiest to work with. They are all community rated states. This is the third way that supplement plans can be structured. The plan costs are not dependent on your age. A 65-year-old is paying the same amount as a 105-year-old, and in some states, insurance companies are able to adjust rates up a little bit if you're a tobacco user, but outside of that, your age, your gender, it does not matter. Remember, even with community-rated plans, you will still see annual rate increases. They are just not tied to your age. Community-rated states are the highest average cost states for supplement plans. They start higher for 65-year-olds than the attained age and the issue age states. 8 of the most expensive 9 states in the country are community-rated states. Eventually, if you live long enough, attained age and issue age plans can catch up to where you may be paying more on an attained age plan at 80, 85, or 90 than you would on a community-rated plan. I'm telling you right now, a lot of people spend way too much time focused on the 3 rating systems. They don't matter as much as some would like them to. In most states, all of the plans are one of these types. If you're in an issue age state or an attained age state, that is what you're dealing with. Now, you can go look on Medicare.gov, and there is always one insurance company that has a supplement plan with a community-rated designation, even in issue age or attained age states. This is not what you are thinking. That plan is not a community-rated plan in the same definition as we have been using here in this video, or the same definition that those states that have community-rated plans only are using. So don't get too tricked or confused by that one community-rated designation in Medicare.gov if you're in an issue age state or an attained age state. The second thing that these easier to work with states all have in common is that they make up the first, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and 7th highest average cost supplement plan states in the country. Now, Minnesota sneaks in there at number 2. So with more power or flexibility to switch comes more cost responsibility. There is one state that didn't make it into either list, but if I were to use a state as a template for how I think Medicare rules should work within the state with reasonable costs, that would probably be Oregon. After this video, go check out the Oregon video to see what I mean. Before I get to the third ask from you in this video, please do not make any real, serious living adjustments based on your Medicare options alone or this video. Medicare is important, but it's not as important as other things in life that should influence where you live, like cost of living, access to healthcare systems, friends and family networks, and many other things. If you do want help with your Medicare decisions, my email is in the description of this video, or you can go to theretirementnerds.com and reach out there. I do have partners who are licensed for all 50 states. That does not mean that they live in all 50 states, but they are licensed and familiar with the plans and the rules and the hospital systems in your state. We are not in the business of stealing you away from your existing agent relationship if you have one. If you're using a broker, rely on him or her for your Medicare decisions. If you do not have an agent or a broker, that is where we can really help to make the Medicare mess so much easier for you, and it will never cost you anything. All right, if you've made it this far, here is that one final, what we'll call a proposal for you. It is not just the biggest ask of this video, but of this entire channel's history. Full transparency, it is the one that I am completely okay with you just skipping. We were able to go to 49 states and Washington, D.C. and make videos specifically for your state in your state. The one state that we have not been able to get to yet for this project is small. It does not make up a large portion of our audience on this channel, but it just doesn't feel right to leave it out, and that state is Hawaii. As you can imagine, this decade's travel budget was used on the other 49 states, and Hawaii is, well, more costly to get to. But openly, I'd really like to get it before the end of the year to finish out this project. And yes, I could make a Hawaii video from here in my studio, but just like all the other states that got their own video and their own location, Hawaii, I think you deserve that too. So if you would like to help our friends in Hawaii, as well as help me justify to my wife that it's okay for us financially to get there, I can't charge you for my services. So I think the easiest way to help is underneath these videos. If you are logged into your YouTube account, there's a button that says thanks. It starts at $2. If you'd like to participate, you can set that wherever you want and join along in this adventure. Every penny will go towards the video in Hawaii. That's the idea. Again, feel 100% free to ignore it. It will not change how I feel about you, nor will it change the other videos on this channel other than the opportunity to make one for the residents of Hawaii in Hawaii hopefully before the end of the year. Okay, I'm working on a similar video to this one that goes over the most expensive supplement plan states. You already know most of them from this video, as well as the best and worst states when it comes to Advantage plans. If the supplement plan video has been released, it is right here. If that's not the right video, I'm currently making it and it will be there soon. I will see you over there.